Hello, and welcome to the Enchanted Circle Podcast, and welcome to our 34th episode. We are a new podcast of three best friends that have known each other since high school that love fantasy books. So here we are doing what we love most, which is obviously reading, theorizing, and having a great time together. From meeting in high school to reading Harry Potter, Twilight, and the Mortal Instruments series to reading Fourth Wing and ACOTAR, we are deep diving into Quicksilver by Callie, Hart. Yay! Hi, I'm Carolina. Welcome to episode 34. We are covering chapters 17 through 22 today. We are excited for you to join us on this fabulous journey as we talk about Quicksilver. And for those of you who are new, we did a breakdown of Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros in our previous episodes, and now we are talking about Quicksilver. Welcome, and we hope you enjoy.
I'm Bella. Hope everyone is doing well and staying cool because it's starting to get hot. But Quicksilver is hotter, so it is definitely hotter to read when it's 80 degrees outside and you have no AC installed, but I'll get to that this weekend because I need it. For now, I'm just fanning myself, especially for these spicy scenes. I'm already sweating as we speak, as I'm speaking.
No, but for real, summer is finally here.
It's here.
Honestly, though, I really needed this weather. It's just been raining so much. I think last episode I said I felt very hoa. So
You did.
now
Not so hoa.
Now I don't feel hoa. Now I feel like I'm in the summer. I'm really excited though for the summer. I have 3 trips I'll be going away on, which is who am I? And who am I? She's so demure.
Yeah.
You want to tell us where you're going to go?
Where are you going?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going on one trip. I'm going to Mexico. I'm going to Playa del Carmen.
Oh, I've been there.
I'm going to go away on a girls trip.
Ooh.
I'm meeting my girlfriends in Denver.
Ooh.
And then later on, me and my husband are going to Barcelona for our 10-year anniversary.
Oh, exciting.
Very cute.
Zan, look at you, travel women.
I know I'm a travel girl.
Well-deserved
Love it.
anniversary gift to Barcelona for sure.
Amen.
All the trips.
I told my husband that I saved him on a wedding, so he owed me.
Yeah.
This weather just reminds me of Saeris and King. It's so hot, but at least there's water here.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
We just have to mention content warnings. There will be spoilers for the entire book of Quicksilver by Callie Hart, including all of Kingfisher's POV chapters. If you have not read this book and his new POVs, please come back once you do. We wouldn't want to spoil anything for you. We may mention interviews or posts from Callie Hart, so spoilers with that. And this podcast is rated R due to the topics we discuss about this adult book. Also, we tend to curse a lot, so please be aware of children listening. Let's get into it. Just to let everyone know, we typically begin with the chapter summary, and then we deep dive into Quicksilver. The main discussion in order of the chapters. So let's begin.
Chapter 17, College. So as they are walking together, Saeris comes to find that College is a beautiful home, not the decrepit war zone that she was expecting, and comes to meet Archer, a fire sprite who is so shocked to see Fisher that he drops a tray of fancy dishware. Saeris is surprised to see Fisher helping Archer clean up the mess, and probably even more surprised to see Archer hugging him with joy as Fisher hugs him back. After using his magic to give himself a new shirt and to fix the porcelain cups that lay broken on the floor, they move along passing statues of gods that he flips off, of course, as he tells her a little bit about the Lesser Fae. They are in the forge that is open to the outside, where she sees mountains and pine trees in the distance. Fisher says that the highest peak is called Amnamarin, which means, quote, sleeping giant, end quote, in Old Fae. She notices that the dimensions of the forge did not coincide with the floor level they were on, but Fisher explains that it's because the doorway is enchanted and leads to the entrance of the forge that is located outside of the house. After he answers Saeris' questions about the doorway, Shadowgate, and the Quicksilver this chapter, they start to get to work. A huge wooden trunk is opened containing a shit ton of silver rings of different styles and sizes. 1,800 of them to be exact, and there's 8 more trunks of them that are around throughout the space. She finds out that she has to transmute 15,000 rings into relics for the 15,000 warriors in Fisher's army without even knowing how to do so in the first place. Womp womp.
No pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Not at all.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Chapter 18, Crucible. King Fisher's library is impressive and even has books written by the alchemists before they all died out. But all of them are written in Old Fae, which obviously Saeris can't read. And King Fisher just leaves our girl in the dust, or should I say smoke. If you know, you know. But our girl Saeris can feel the frequencies of each metal, and they are all different. Okay, girly. Working hard on getting these relics to work. She finds the tiniest bit of Quicksilver to work with that. I'm sure King Fisher hid it on purpose. But more on that later. And Saeris worked hard, but no results still. Then our lovely Ren escorts our girl. He checks on her, which I find sweet, even though he looks like he got beat to shit. But he also tells her to go to dinner with Fisher. Tonight. Saeris agrees only because Ren asked nicely. Love you, Ren. Then they're at dinner on two different sides of a very, very, very long table. It's giving Bridgerton. If you know, you know. Our girl is wearing the dress. I just couldn't help but think of that scene. Naturally, they start to bicker. Our girl wants some wine. I mean, fair. And I totally get it. She walks over to his side of the table and then she sat to his right. Gasp. We get more bickering and a lesson from Fisher that Bellicon basically takes all the silver for himself. Then the fire sprites see where our girl is sitting and basically have a fit. Saeris is like, what's the big deal? Oh, it's a very big deal, my girl. Next, they discuss Carrion, our boy. More on that later. And then, boom, they get attacked. Kingfisher becomes death. Our girl got clawed, and Kingfisher screams for help. And we find out that those were feeders that attacked, and only silver can kill them. Dun, dun, dun. Chapter 19, Bones and All. Starts off with a dream. Saeris is trapped in a crowd of feeders, biting and clawing at her. Then she starts falling right into the real world and waking up with a gasp. Found herself in a bed, but not just any bed, Kingfisher's bed.
Hey.
Who's right next to her when she wakes up? Kingfisher. Hey. More banter, and he leaves, demanding her to stay in his bed. Ha, Fisher, you're funny. He demands her to stay in his room, no less, and she's like, where are you staying? And our boy is leaving to Erin, the war camp, for 1 week. Compulsion is the only way our girl stayed in bed for 5 days, with Onyx at her side. Telena comes to visit her, and so does Carrion. Not Carrion flirting with her. ... I'm dead. Our girl notes the boots he has on, and Carrion confesses that Kingfisher actually gave it to him for a price. The price, you ask? A bath. Then our girl gets back
A very
into the
special bath.
a very nice bath.
He was very generous with that, let me just say.
Yeah.
Got the whole spa treatment.
And when I reread it again, the amount of times they scrubbed him with different stuff, I'm like, I'm surprised his skin didn't fall off.
Yeah.
But anyway, then our girl gets back to the forge to work on Quicksilver again, feeling the pressure of her failures of previous attempts. Ren shows up with blood on him. What's going on, Ren? Carrion and Ren accompany her to dinner with Fisher. Guess who decides to sit on his right again? Ding, 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 our girl Saeris, aka his future wifey. The banter was also bantering in this chapter. By the end, Saeris was telling him to just shut up.
I love this scene because I just love that Carrion and Ren were part of it, because she was like,
I love it.
She was like flipping about being alone with him again. And she's like, you guys got to come with me and be a part of this. Yeah. And even though they were a part of it, they were still like doing their own thing on the side. So it was just too funny. I love it.
They were just talking.
They were like moral support.
You want to come training with me?
Yeah,
it was just
funny.
So cute.
It was so funny.
I love they were like trying to like separate themselves from whatever was going on over there. They were just like,
yeah.
And especially when Kingfisher was very blunt at one point, and Ren was like,
blunt.
dude, yeah, right here. Like, I'm right here.
It was so perfect.
Oh, it's so good.
And Fisher was just like, and?
Yeah.
He's like, I was trying to have
Didn't
this
even
by
look
myself
at
with her.
Yeah, he didn't even look at him. He was just like,
Like, all right.
Chapter 20, Amontriath. Saeris steps into the Shadow Gate and ends up at the war camp. That isn't really a war camp, but basically a city at this point. The war has been fought here for so long, it is basically a permanent fixture. She looks over the frozen lake and sees Amontriath, a wasteland, basically, the occupied land of the enemy, the Vamp land. Fisher arrives and basically is spiraling because he doesn't feel good enough for his army. Having felt like he failed them the last 100 years, he refuses to speak with them, leaving that to Ren. Ren begins training Carrion and Saeris, putting Carrion on his back multiple times, much to Saeris' amusement. But when it's Saeris' turn, she gets put on her ass a couple times until she remembers who the fuck she is. Okay. She ends up distracted by her bootang, though. Kingfisher, who comes to watch and distract her because she's basically in lust right now. Fisher dismisses Carrion and Ren while he takes Saeris back to his tent. Ayy! For as much as Kingfisher tries to act like he doesn't care, he sure does seek out Saeris a lot. When they walk into his tent, Saeris notes a bunch of books. To the reader, it is very obvious, like to me, that he's trying to figure out their bond. But she also sees a bowl of soup. I'm dead because he wants to have lunch with her, okay? I don't know
Okay,
why it makes me laugh.
Akatar. I'm
No,
sorry.
seriously.
I had to.
Here's a bowl of soup. Do you accept my mate? It makes me laugh though. He's so broody, but he won't leave her alone. He's always seeking her out. They start bickering because Fisher says he will continue using their bond to have her do things he wants because he wants to keep her safe. But Saeris finally loses it and tells him if he just communicates, y'all, this is a problem with every man. I mean, not just fae men, okay?
Yeah.
Every man. Human men, fae men, bestiality men, dragon men, wing leaders,
Yes.
communication. Okay, Zayden?
Across the board.
Ryerson. But you know who else loses it? Fisher. His shadows spill out and he slams her into the bookcase and proceeds to make the fuck out with her. God damn. Being the badass feminist she is, tells him she wants to lose their clothing. Okay. Which ends up stopping Fisher from continuing. Ugh. The scene is too fucking hot though. Like,
I know.
the tension was tensioning. While Saeris is mentally spiraling about losing that control, it is Fisher who finally lets her in on a big secret. He puts her hand on his chest and his heart is the one racing for once. Saeris leaves the tent and runs into Ren, who can smell our poor girl. The pheromones are fair-borning, okay?
Dying at that.
They're like
poor
they're really
Saeris.
going off. Poor Saeris. She goes
Wait,
into
can
the
I just add that even in last chapter, like when after Kingfisher said something and she also felt heat and she was like, oh my God, if Ren smells me right now. And I'm like, Ren has smelled you so many times by now. You're caught. Like, yeah, that's it.
Girl. She goes into the tent and shares some quiche with Carrion while the shit show with Danya begins. You know, member of the wolf pack. She is literally a complete bitch who goes after Fisher and tries to kill him all because he can't give her a reason for his disappearance. Thank God, because his alchemist mate is there. Saeris shatters Danya's guard sword to protect him, and then everyone finds out she is an alchemist. It is quickly forgotten as feeders make their way to the riverbank. Chapter 21, Icebreaker. Chaos erupts in the war camp as everyone rushes to break the ice. Carrion, who didn't want to stay, and Saeris, who followed him out, struck stupid, taken in the horde of 50,000 feeders on the other side of the river. As the feeders begin their approach on the iced water, Saeris and Carrion start in on helping the warriors break the ice. The ice finally breaks and Fisher uses his shadows to drown the remaining vampires. But an unexpected vampire fae comes to look and taunt Fisher. No one other than Malcolm, who tries to cause dissent among the army by saying he misses Fisher. Ew, gross, fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
Malcolm is strange.
I don't know what his obsession with Fisher is.
I
like,
mean,
I need more
it,
background on that. I know he's in love with him, like in a weird,
it's
gross
obvious.
place. I mean, but like, why?
You know why?
I mean, yes. I mean, I know, but like, why?
We know why.
I need words.
You just love him. You love him, but in a sick way, not in a good way. In a sick way.
Not healthy.
Not healthy. Yeah.
I guess it's like one of those stalkers, maybe like.
Yeah.
Like a stalker romance. Not about.
Getting into chapter 22. It's called The Itch. If you know, you know. So Saeris is outside the war room.
I'm sorry, Bella, to interrupt you, but I am so happy you got this chapter.
Me too.
You always bring it in the spicy chapters.
I don't know.
Bella, you're the best.
You're the best.
No,
you're the best at this.
I couldn't like really.
Bella, you're like a natural like storyteller. So this is like perfect.
I sweat profusely.
It's gonna be me right now. Like,
yeah, go Bella, go.
Okay. I'm sweating already, guys. It's like it feels like it's 80 degrees outside, but it feels like it's 90 in here because of this scene. I can't. Okay. So Saeris is outside the war room when Fisher comes and basically says, take my hand or I'll carry you. So she does, and he leads her back to his tent. So, ooh la la. Fisher is not playing any games. He was already trying to constrain his desire for Saeris, but what happened on the riverbank untethered any constraints that he had left. She's trying to get answers from him about what happened at the riverbank, insinuating that she was concerned for his life and trying to make it seem like it was for her own selfish reasons to get back home. But he sees right through that bullshit because he knows that she was worried about him, especially after he saw her defend him by breaking Danya's sword when it was aimed towards him. Fisher explains that Malcolm is a powerful high fae who did not take the cure like some of the Yuvelian did, which is why he becomes king of these vampires. Saeris starts putting the pieces together and asks him if he was with Malcolm all those years that he was missing, and he tells her that he couldn't tell her. She then assumes that it is because he's bound to Malcolm in some way, which angers him enough to snap at her. And then that's when she starts to see that this is his defense mechanism to keep people from getting too close to the truth of what happened to him. Cue the tension. The Marvin Gaye. Let's get it on. I won't get into too detail right now, maybe later, but they collide from sexual tension, and Saeris notices that as they're intertwining into each other physically, his tattoos start intertwining with her body as well. After a soul-shattering experience, Fisher gets ready and tells her to stay in his room while he finishes up what he has to do at the camp, and then he will come back for her before disappearing into the Shadow Gate. Just like that.
First of all, can you imagine your man's just getting up and dipping?
Yeah. I thought this was so hilarious. Like after she left, she like opens the door. Archer's like in the hallway. He's like has this tray of food. Like, oh, you need to replenish your energy. You know? and she's like, no, we weren't doing what you thought we were doing. Like,
we were rearranging the furniture.
I was just like and Archer's. I could see his face. He's like.
Yeah, he's like, sure.
He's like, I can smell you. He's like, Sarah, did you forget where you are? Everybody can smell you.
Yes, exactly.
Like, there's no hiding.
And they can smell him on you, girl.
Exactly.
And you rearrange the furniture, put it right back to where it was perfectly.
Exactly. You know what I find crazy though is that she knows about Faye already, right? And then yet, like in that chapter that you're reading about, Steph, when she went into the war room, she goes in there in a room full of Faye, smelling like her perfumes. And I'm just like, that's the worst place you can be. After going into the main discussion, chapter 17, Kalish. We find out that Kalish was built by Fisher's great-great-grandfather. So it has been passed down for generations. And as they are walking, she meets Archer, right, the fire sprite, who is a 3-foot small creature with a round protruding stomach, amber eyes, and with skin that looks like charred cracks. They walk down a hall that has 7 mounts, each with a different god, and Fisher, of course, like flips them off as they're passing by them. He teaches her about the different lesser fae that exist, which are fire, water, air, and earth sprites. But Saeris tells him that she doesn't plan to stay in Yuvelia long enough to learn about all the different creatures that exist here because she plans to go back to her people who are too tired to fight against Madra on their own. And Fisher then gets real close and asks her, quote, "You're just one of the hundreds of thousands of people who live in your city. Why shoulder this responsibility of saving them when they refuse to save themselves?" End quote. And even though she knows he knows why, she says it anyway, quote, "Because it's the right thing to do, Fisher," end quote. Is this the Quicksilver in him talking? I mean, I was thinking that for a moment. Like, I was like, is this like this dual side of him? Because even though it's his birthright to protect his own people, he also went out to save others who were not his people. So I don't know. I thought that was like strange for him to like contradict.
I feel that too. I feel like the Quicksilver is starting to kind of control some parts of him or some things that he does or the way, like certain thoughts. I think the fact that it speaks so loudly to him, I think at certain points he kind of gives into it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
They get to the forge that shows a bit of the outside, and Fisher says to a mesmerized Saeris that the highest peak is called Amnamarin, which means sleeping giant in Old Fae. And Old Fae, you don't say. Another clue to their mysterious history. It's the first time that we like find out that there's this old language that existed long ago. I find it interesting, like why would they call it the sleeping giant? It will be like probably just metaphorical for the size of it. As they're in the forge, she asks why couldn't they use a shadow gate at the Winter Palace instead of having to go through the creepy forest. And he tells her that the shadow gate uses a lot of magic that can be easily sensed by other fays. He didn't want to risk Bellicon finding them. The reason why they have to be so far away in certain places to use a shadow gate is to prevent other fae from finding out that magic is being used if they had to try to escape or something. He also mentions that it takes about 50 leagues to prevent fae from detecting that amount of magic being performed. Thought that was like a little detail, maybe to tuck in for a later time. But then Saeris asks him, why can't he use a shadow gate to travel to other realms instead of using Quicksilver? And he explains with annoyance that shadow gates are of this realm and can only be used in this realm. But Quicksilver is not of this realm. Interesting. So we knew that Quicksilver was discovered by the alchemists, but no one knows where it came from specifically. If the pools are the only way to travel from one pool to another in different realms, who put them there?
It has to be the gods. I mean, who would know how to put them in all these different realms? I don't know.
But then I also feel like the fact that they call Zilvarin the Silver City, like, did it come from Zilvarin?
Yeah.
That's a good point too. Did it originate from there? You know?
Mm-hmm. I know the pool in the castle, Madra's castle, is like very small and stuff. I feel like she's just been hiding the Quicksilver. I don't know, but it's just weird that they call it the Silver City. Why is it the Silver City?
It could be from Zilvarin, or it's just interesting that Quicksilver is found, but it could be the gods. So after opening the trunk to reveal the silver rings, Saeris wonders if he wants her to make them into swords, but Fisher tells her that relics work best on items that mean something to the owner. So the rings are all family rings of the warriors that fight for him. This is probably going to be like, it's far off, Mad Woman theory. But what I was thinking is that if she tries to imbue the Quicksilver with these family rings, and because they have like a tie to the family, and the Quicksilver is sentient, I wonder if in some way it will connect like with their family members.
It's a good
Like,
point.
you mean like connect with the family members that are in different realms?
Probably, yeah.
The only reason I would say no is because Kingfisher has like a relic and he's like never connected with his family members, and he's over 1,000 years old.
That's true.
Even him having like his mother and then his god sword, especially being from Ren's sister.
Callie said that there's so much we don't know yet that will be revealed next book.
Yeah. It's
Shout out to her interview with Waterstone this past week. But she did say that there's so much that's going to be revealed. Moving on to chapter 18, Crucible. Guys, remember how last episode we were saying how Saeris might manipulate more than just the Quicksilver and can manipulate other types of metals, right? So I have to quote this entire thing. Quote, I could feel what kind of metal it was by the vibration it gives off. When I first noticed those vibrations back in Zilvarin, they had scared the shit out of me so badly that I trained myself to ignore them. Now I use that alien sensation to differentiate between plated metal, silver, and a whole slew of different variants of iron that we didn't have back home. They each had their own frequencies. End quote. She is so going to be able to manipulate more than just the Quicksilver, in my opinion.
Yes. And the Quicksilver like actually talks, which makes it easy for her to differentiate between them. And as I was reading that, like it reminded me of how unique her power is compared to powers that I've read or that we've read from other fantasies. And because like we don't know much about alchemy in general, it just makes it more like intriguing and mysterious. In the very beginning of this chapter, she points out that Fisher has books written by alchemists in Old Fae before they all died out. And he knows Old Fae. So I think he'll be like crucial to her understanding more about herself at some point.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I just need to note again, remember last episode, Onyx is so much more happier when he's away from the forge, right? Something is up with the Quicksilver. Like, maybe it's not necessarily good. And I know we never said it was good, but just something I thought it was interesting to note.
Oh, that's a good, like,
I agree.
observation.
I feel like the Quicksilver has its own
Agenda.
Yes. I think it has its own agenda, and I don't think it's benevolent, I think.
And yeah.
I don't know.
She even notes that Onyx, quote, apparently he was very happy to be away from the forge, end quote. Like,
and we saw him act crazy when she was at the Winter Palace and she was going to the Quicksilver pool in the Winter Palace. And like, as soon as she started getting close to it, he like bolted.
Yeah.
So there has listen, animals feel a lot of things. So I think it's very interesting. It's something that we really need to keep in the back of our mind. Something is weird.
Yeah.
And side note, she did say, I'm going to mention this interview a lot. She did say that Onyx was inspired by her dog.
Oh,
so
that is so sweet.
Anyway.
Oh, what I was going to say and add into here is that, like, since Saeris can detect like where Quicksilver is or what is Quicksilver, I guess like Onyx will help her to maybe to find out if the Quicksilver is like bad or good. You know what I mean? Like,
could be
if there's different personalities with the Quicksilver,
Side note, I can't help but laugh when Ren tells her that he gave Fisher shit about making the oath with her and, quote, I told him the only way he could make it up to me would be to start getting to know you a little better, end quote. Oh, Ren, you're the Cupid in this story because they sure did get to know each other, and I'm sure Fisher was happy about this too.
I feel like Ren knows. He knows.
For sure.
He must smell the bond.
They must smell both of them and be like, Fisher is not playing his game right, so let me just help him out.
I feel like he knows.
He's a wingman.
Yeah, for sure. This next line, by the way, is so long, but it is very important. Ren tells her, quote, Fisher's very single-minded sometimes. There's no gray, only black and white. I fear that part of him has only gotten worse while he's been away. He has to keep things very straight in his mind. Otherwise, lines get blurred. Right now, you're a tool he feels like he has to use to make life better for us all. My concern is that the tool pushed to its limits is a tool that will probably break. And to be blunt, Saeris, you're a tool none of us can afford to let Fisher break. He needs to see you as a person. He needs to know that you're more than our way out of a tight corner. And the only way to accomplish this is if he learns more about you, end quote. Okay, first of all, I felt that when he says a tool pushed to its limits is a tool that will break. That is so true in many areas of life. I just want to say that, like, don't burn yourself out. Don't let people burn you out. Do self-care. Take care of yourself. And this also has an interesting perspective of King Fisher and how his best friend views him. So I just thought that this was very important.
Yeah. I love that. I love that he said that. It was so perfectly said.
Yeah, exactly. I keep referring to last episode. In King Fisher's POV, when he brought her the dress, well, now I love how Saeris notes, quote, I hadn't even bothered to look at the dress that had magically appeared at the end of the bed while I was in the tub. All I knew was that it was black, end quote. Now knowing his POV, I can't help but really appreciate this moment and note that she took a whole bath in a tub that King Fisher conjured for her, by the way. And I love this moment so much, and it means a lot knowing the backstory.
But also, guys, remember, like, from King Fisher's POV, like, the dress he put out for her is a dress his mother had made for her.
Exactly.
So she's over here ignoring this damn dress, and it's like a special sentimental dress, and she's just like, fuck that shit. I'm gonna wear my pants. I'm gonna wear my pants and my freaking blouse.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
and
go
meanwhile,
to dinner,
Fisher's
and
just
I'm gonna
like,
wear this fucking dress. And his mother fucking made
Fisher's
it for
like,
her.
my mama made you that dress.
Wear the dress, Saeris.
I would wear it every day. Every day I'd wear that dress.
But first of all, before King Fisher's POV, I was like, you know what? Stop leaving little dresses for her. Let her wear whatever she wants.
Yeah.
Okay?
Like,
She's
okay,
a warrior.
Tamlin.
She wants to wear freaking
Tamlin.
pants. Yeah, Tamlin didn't want to give poor freaking Farrah her pants. She needed some pants.
Yeah.
We girls, we like pants.
Exactly.
We like leggings, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Leggings.
and but then I read his POV, and then I was like, she didn't wear the dress.
Yeah.
Please wear the dress.
Yeah.
Sarah,
I was
wear
like,
the
Sarah,
dress.
how could you not wear the dress? The fuck?
Wear the dress.
Yeah. I didn't
Love
like,
it.
I thought was really sweet, right? Is that like, if he's putting out that dress for her that his mom made for her, and he already is admitting to himself who she's going to be to him, you know, like he's already
Definitely.
he's already accepted
Just-
it.
But just the
With
fact that he just doesn't leave her alone, guys. Like she's
Yeah,
not
since
even,
day
she
one.
doesn't even look for him.
Yeah.
And he won't leave her alone. First of all, he rescues her. She's about to die. He rescues her, which very honorable, very cute of him. But then, like, once he gets his pendant back and all that stuff, the first time she goes to the library, he shows up. She's in her room. He shows up. Like, I'm gonna eat here. Out of all, everywhere in this, first of all, let's talk about how big that palace is. You're telling me, out of all those damn rooms, Sarah's passed on her way down to the Quicksilver pool. He couldn't eat in one of those.
Exactly.
Okay?
He wanted to be with his
He
baby
always
girl.
Wanted
He's
to be
always-
with his future boo boo.
So he's just lying to himself. Out of
He
anybody,
is.
he's like, he seeks her out so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, after this
And
whole
she's
thing,
like,
later
boy,
on-
bye. She's like, I
She's
want to
like,
get
I
home
don't-
to my
But
brother.
she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to admit it to herself either. They're
No.
both denying. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
But he
fair.
he like looks for her so much more, and like he
Find
plans little things for her, and he like makes her stay in his room later on in a little bit. So like,
Yeah.
He was smitten from the start.
From the jump.
stop lying to yourself. You're not
Mhm.
concerned about the Quicksilver. We know what you're concerned about.
You concerned about love.
Love.
After she moved closer and sat on his right, he says, quote, "We can't buy more silver. The entire realm's been picked clean. Belicon has an embargo on it. Any silver found within Avalian borders must be given to the crown." End quote. I wonder what he could be doing with the Quicksilver. Like, could the Quicksilver be all of the souls that left for the pilgrimage and it's trapped souls in order to keep Madra, Belicon, whoever alive longer? I don't know. Just, I know I'm going off on this, is probably not even a good theory, but something's just off about that whole thing.
Yeah.
I just kind of took it. I kind of took it that Belicon just doesn't want anyone to be able to figure out the Quicksilver and travel to go get resources.
Oh, that too. That too.
That's how I took it. Like he's just being like
Point is, he's sus.
a war guy. He's being sus. Like obviously later out we find out he's really like a really truly bad guy. He's in with the bad guys, you know. But I just feel like he took away the Quicksilver as a means to not let his people have a way out. I wouldn't doubt it if he's the one that killed all the freaking alchemists.
Oh, I wouldn't put it past him.
I have a question. I thought that the Quicksilver, I thought there's two different types of silver. There's the regular silver and there's the Quicksilver. Saeris was saying that she needs the silver. And they said that, oh, we don't have that. Like, it's scarce around here because Belicon is taking all of it and he's putting an embargo on it. So if he's taking all the silver.
Silver is the only thing that could kill feeders.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense. Because of
Speaking of off, the fire sprites, as they come in and see where Saeris is sitting, they nearly collapse. And I can imagine this scene so vividly because it's awesome. Because especially how dramatic they react. Like, they're literally like this, like fainting. And I love Archer and I love his reactions. But this part is just, love it. Chef's kiss. And I'm sorry if you hear my dog again walking around. Naturally, Carry-On gets brought up and I'm not mad about it. Okay? I'm not mad about it. And I love Carry-On. And side note, back to the interview that Callie Hart had with Waterstone, Carry-On's getting his own novella book. Okay? So,
can't wait.
when Kingfisher says, quote, "I wouldn't have thought he was your type, but it explains a lot," end quote. Not him judging her type. Excuse me? And Kingfisher, you jellyfish. Bella.
I love it.
And oh my God, this next line, "If I was Saeris, I'd want to strangle Carry-On." Fisher says, quote, "He mentioned that you were infatuated with him back in your room." End quote. Excuse me? Aaron, you saying I'm in love with you? Boo, you obsessed with me. He was flirting with her like crazy. Like, no. And as they were discussing how he smelled her on Carry-On and mixed him up for Hayden, that whole thing, let's just say there isn't a connection in terms of blood between Carry-On and Saeris, right? Let's say maybe it's their mating bond, because what he says here makes sense. Quote, I know the smell of you anywhere, on anyone. I know it blind and in the dark, across a fucking sea, and I'd be able to scent you. Didn't finish the sentence, end quote. I think he was just very sensitive to her smell, you know, like that would make sense again too. I think it was just their bond that's how he smelled her so intensely on Carry-On. So when they got attacked, Saeris notes how, quote, King Fisher became death, end quote. Guys, you heard me say this time and time and time again. Okay, I think he's the god of death. Okay, he is referred to death so many times, and he saved Saeris, and she notes, quote, King Fisher towered over me like the god of death himself, end quote. Bish, because he is, okay? He has to be. He is the god of death. There's no way. Side note, as he's fighting these monsters, she notes, quote, Nimmerel flashed around him. The tarnished black blade whipped through the air, trailing smoke. The sword was an extension of Fisher himself, end quote. After reading this POV, this hit so much harder knowing the story behind this sword. R.I.P. Ren's sister, Mira. Chapter 19, Bones and All. As Saeris wakes up in King Fisher's room, I couldn't help but notice she says, quote, I was in a bed, a 4-poster bed with birds, wolves, and dragons carved into the post, end quote. It's interesting, very interesting, okay, that she notes that, because wolves, as we know, could mean his Lupo Proelia, okay. Dragons, obviously, especially since he killed the last dragon, but the birds, okay? Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that for a second. The birds? Could he possibly transform into one? Thoughts? Isn't King Fisher a bird? And Callie did say that she knew in the interview, I forgot to tell you guys, in the interview with Waterstone, okay, she said someone asked her, don't quote me on the exact way they asked her, but they asked her like, oh, did you always know King Fisher would be his name? Our girl goes, yeah, King Fisher, I knew that would be his name. There's a reason behind it. And if you Google King Fisher, it's a bird, okay? It's
a
fucking
really?
Bird. Yes.
I didn't know that.
It's a small, medium-sized, brightly colored bird. They live in tropical regions in Africa, Asia, and can be found in Europe and the Americas, okay? All right. And the symbolism of kingfishers, okay, are peace, prosperity, and good fortune, according to Google. So I just found it interesting.
But then that kind of like, how is he the god of death and a bird?
Listen. It doesn't have to make sense now, but it will one day.
I'm just saying.
He could be
I would have believed it more if he was
death.
like.
Another nod to my god of death theory is, quote, I am the thing that exists on the other side of the dark. I'm the thing that puts fear of the gods into the monsters who eat you, bones and all, end quote. Okay, this is what he says to her. All right, it's solidified in my brain. All right, it's either he's a bird or he's the god of death. One of those two.
Whichever one.
I can't believe our boy demanded her to stay in bed for 5 days. Okay, compulsion. Okay, TVD. Shout out to my TVD people. I legit thought at first that Helena and Fisher had a thing. First time reading this, and I was so jealous for Saeris. She didn't demonstrate as much jealousy as I did at the time, but I was very jealous. But I loved the little nod that she gave Saeris a book to read while she rested. Can we talk about how Carry-On brought her breakfast on her last day of being trapped in his room?
I feel like Carry-On also smells the bond, and he's just like egging them on, like both of them. He's like there with like his little tea, like just ready to like see them like figure this whole thing out. Like,
yeah, he loves the chaos.
He loves it.
He loves the chaos. He loves the tea. Like, it's
you sure he's not
cute.
Zered's son? He should be Zered's son.
I think seriously, he's like one of the twins.
I love how the boots are brought back. Okay, talking about King Fisher's POV and how he got Carry-On the boots in order to strike a deal for him to bathe. I love how Saeris notices those same boots immediately. And she's like, what the fuck? Where'd you get that? And she's like, what have you been doing? And yeah, Carry-On, tell us what you've been doing, my friend. I love how Saeris puts 2 and 2 together and notes why King Fisher wanted Carry-On to bathe, right? This part had me just dying. But fast forward to when she's in the forge working on the Quicksilver, she notes, quote, a dark figure striding toward me across the garden. Feeder, end quote. So she thinks legit a feeder is coming to kill her. But I don't know if this was just like a quick suspense in the moment that Callie put in, or could Ren be a feeder undetected? Hear me out. Don't come for me. Or this is probably me not trusting anyone. Okay, Onyx Storm has ruined my life, but just saying, because she knows the very next line, it's just Ren, right? But I think I contradicted myself a little bit, but I come back. Okay, I come back because she does say, quote, there was a warmth to him that made me feel at ease, no matter how imposing he was, end quote. Okay, right? And I thought, I was like, oh, maybe I'm overreacting, but wait, you wait. Okay, so as Saeris is assessing him, she notes blood on him. Okay, but she describes it as a black liquid, right? Then she notes, quote, he was close enough that I could smell him now, and holy hells, the general reeked of the same foul odor that had filled the air when the feeders had attacked us. It was definitely blood, end quote, right? That's interesting, right? And at first I was like, oh, he probably killed some feeders, right? That was what I was thinking in my head. But Ren is acting very strange in this scene, right? And he even says, he's like, oh yeah, I forgot about this, and this being emphasized, right? And that encounter is just fishy. And Saeris is like, oh, well, is King Fisher like okay or whatever? And Ren is like, oh yeah, he's fine. He didn't even like get a scratch or whatever. First of all, we know that they're both identical in fighting. Like they fight really well, right? Ren is an exceptional fighter. So how is King Fisher like, oh, like nothing happened, like he's good, like whatever? And then Ren is like with a bunch of blood that he forgot about, and he's acting very strange in this moment. So
that's interesting.
That is very interesting. I like that.
I like that perspective because for me, like you, I thought, oh, you just fought like a bunch of feeders, like, you know, it's Ren, you know, but then it's like, you just never know.
But it was weird, the whole combination of it, like her first thinking it's a feeder, her smelling it, and then her noticing the blood, and then he noticed the blood.
Maybe was even the way weird. The way he was like climbing the wall, and like the way, like it was similar to a feeder. And
yeah, she did say that. She was like, the way he climbed the wall was very similar to a feeder.
Yeah.
So let me keep an eye on you. I love Ren though.
I would hate that.
Yeah,
I know.
I would hate. I guess we don't know, right? Because we don't know much about like the vampires, not the feeders, but like the vampires. We don't know much about them and the way they really truly behave.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not him being a feeder necessarily, or maybe he's doing his own little side mission that he's not even telling anyone. Like, who knows? Like, you know what I mean? For some purpose. But I just want to say he's up to something.
Just that scene in general was fishy.
Yeah. When Ren explains to Saeris how Nimmerell always stayed with Fisher, this part on a reread, especially after his POV, made me tear up because knowing the meaning behind it is so powerful when I'm rereading now. It's just so sad. So I love how Saeris brings Ren and Carrie on to dinner with Fisher, right? I love it. I'm eating it up, okay? And I love jealous Fisher even more. Eat it up. Okay, when Carrion is legit flirting hard with Saeris, right? He says, quote, not that I need to use my imagination when it comes to your body, but, end quote. He didn't finish that sentence. Then a, quote, sinister growl echoed around the dining room, end quote, which we can heavily assume it's our boy King Fisher. And I love how he tells her, why did you invite the whole household to our dinner? And she's like, boy, bye.
Yeah.
I love that whole interaction. It was just chef's kiss. This scene is awesome because she strides past the seating, right? This long ass table, and they seated her across from him again. She picks up her wine glass and she walks straight to the seat on his right again. Okay. I just can imagine this whole in my brain.
She's just like so unsuspecting. She's just like, first of all, she's offended. She's on the other side. She's like, oh, hell no, this man did not put me at the end of the table. And she's just like, I ain't going to stand for that. I'm going to get my ass. Because she is a feminist, okay? She goes after what she wants.
Yeah.
And she ain't going to let no man put her at the end of the table.
Nope. So I imagine it so perfectly. Her grabbing her wine glass and striding towards him. And talk about subtle signs of being made. I love Ren's reaction here too. When he legit spits out his wine in shock when he notices where she's sitting. And I can see this so clearly in my mind. I love this scene. Side note. When Carrion offers to sit there, Kingfisher's like, quote, absolutely not. Try it and die, end quote. And it's just like, so I love you, Carrion. I love you so much. Carrion says something interesting. So Kingfisher says that the Fae wouldn't fight for something as petty as water. So as they were discussing Ilvarin, right? So then Carrion says, quote, you would if you were dying of thirst. Trust me, I've seen it, end quote. This may be a stretch, but I think Carrion is saying there's more meaning to it. Like Carrion saw Fae actually fighting over this before. So this is just me probably thinking like Carrion knows way more. Obviously we know that, but he knows way more than we think.
Mm-hmm. He's been around longer than we thought.
So there's definitely more Fae back in Sylvarin in my opinion. And not Saeris telling him, listen, you said you'd be gone for 1 week and you were gone for 2 weeks, and tell him how he was stuck in his bed for 5 days. His response, I just have to quote this because it's so legendary. Quote, most females like spending time in my bed. End quote.
I love how he flirts. I love his his responses. It's just so confident, and
I love the confidence. I love the banter. I love it all. Love it. The banter was so good in this chapter, and for the sake of time, please refer to chapter 19 for good old enemies to lovers banter. Okay? Thank you.
Yes.
There's just so many cute little things happening when they're sitting down at that table.
If I legit quoted every single one that I loved, we would be here all night.
Truth. Chapter 20. Amontriath. As the crew, Saeris, Carrion, Wren, and Kingfisher arrive at the war camp, we can note how long this war has been going on for. So long that they started building buildings, that the war camp is not only littered with tents, but also 2-story buildings, one of which is a tavern, which I love. Saeris describes what is on the other side of the river. So I'm going to quote this part. Quote, the land on the other side of the river was a blackened, charred wasteland. No snow covered the ground there. Pillars of smoke rose to meet a grim, foreboding sky clad in a mantle of iron gray clouds. There were no trees, no greenery, only the black dirt and the smoke in the distance, the jagged outline of a black and terrible fortress situated on top of a Lumen hill. End quote. It's interesting to note how different the climate is across the river, y'all. There seems to be some sort of magic that is stopping the cold weather from reaching there. If the river is frozen, right? On the side of Amontriath, there's no snow. For me, it really just seems like there's a barrier of magic separating the two. Because how do you get no snow on the other side of a river?
Right.
The name of the fortress from across the river is called Amontriath, which means Hell's Teeth, because of the jagged points on the fortress. Quote, its walls are sheer, made of obsidian, slick as glass, built from the bones of demons. The peaks and spires are as sharp as a razor's edge. End quote. I wonder what they're trying to guard or protect themselves from. That the fortress has such sharp peaks. We know that dragons were killed off, but could it be that that's what they were afraid of? What if the dragons aren't really gone 100%?
That's a really good
point.
Theory.
Or what if they're hiding maybe dragon eggs or
what if there are other flying creatures?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. Like, why have jagged peaks? What are you like? I feel like for me, it's like the perspective of coming down from the sky and what comes down from the sky,
right?
Than other than dragons. You know what I mean?
You see like on buildings, like those spikes that prevent birds from landing and stuff. But that's a really good point because structures always like they're built in a way for a purpose. I wanted to point out was also found in Madra's palace. Heron, who kept repeating like obsidian, there's obsidian under me and obsidian on the walls, like. And he was he was going crazy because of Quicksilver. But I wonder if like that palace is also there's something who Madra really is. But yeah, that's interesting.
There has to be something with why the feeders or the vampires are guarding themselves in obsidian.
And I wonder when her powers develop more, I wonder what obsidian is going to feel like for her. Purpose will she find about it? Like what is the purpose of it exactly, you know?
Oh, definitely.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that a lot of people who serve King Fisher are low fae, but they revere him and respect him. It goes to show how well of a lord Fisher is, that no one treats him with nothing but respect. So much that when Fisher tells him not to call him sire, he legit says, no, he will not. AKA, he will show him the respect a lord deserves. And even like more so than that, it's just the interaction on how Fisher acts with these so-called low fae. These are such important people to him. And I think that says a lot about who he is as a person, because he puts on this really big, broody, harsh front, but like he is so soft for those he cares about. Later on, we see Carrion and Renfis sparring, and I love when Saeris notes that before Kingfisher, she would have been drooling for Carrion. Quote, once my insides would have stumbled over the way I can make out his muscled chest through the damp material. End quote. Okay, carry on with the body. With the body.
He has Steph about to drop her mic.
Literally,
Dang.
with the body. Saeris literally, I think she definitely had a bigger crush than she let on in the beginning. Saeris, who kind of lost her badass spark, has been acting afraid of all these fae. But she shows us what a good fighter she is. She watches how Carrion and Ren fight and learns from it as they're fighting. She says, quote, ever since Heron had bound my hands behind my back and run me through, I'd felt vulnerable, weak, incapable. But now I was myself again. End quote. Our baby girl can fight, all right? She can fight. Imagine her with more training, more fae training. This bitch is going to be unstoppable. Fisher comes through though, and of course he distracts her because he's been like watching her fight. He's probably getting turned on. He's like, oof, this fighting is hot. Okay. He cannot seem to stay away, guys. He never stays away from her. He always comes back and looks for her. And Saeris can't seem to stop herself from getting distracted by him. As soon as she knows he's there, all she can think about is him. I love that for them. So there's going to be a meeting with the captains, and Fisher's depression reels its head as he tries to get out of being there. But Ren will not allow it. Quote, you're more than needed. You're required. We're done with this, brother. If you bear me any love or respect at all, you will come to the meeting. End quote. But what cures depression, y'all? Nothing like getting distracted by the girl you just distracted.
Ay.
Fisher says he needs her. Hey. And what does he need her for? Well, lunch, of course, y'all. What's astounding to me is Saeris assumes his tent is going to be huge, right? She's like, he has such a big ego. His tent has to be humongous. But when they reach his tent, she says it's the same size as all the other. But when they really go inside, it's considerably large, showing this aspect of Fisher's magic with like the illusions he creates, because there's a king-size bed, a bookcase, a table for 4, a fireplace, and a couch. Like, that's big. So his illusion magic is definitely flowing in this room to make it bigger. Is it bigger because he was just bringing Saeris? Or
I have so many questions about illusion magic.
It's giving Harry Potter.
Yes.
it's interesting. Like, something in Fisher must have cracked his exterior, or maybe the fact that he has to meet with the captains, because he says please to Saeris multiple times to get her to eat with him. And even in their exchange, he compliments her fighting. He's giving poor Saeris whiplash, and me too, because he just keeps going back and forth. The bond must be pulling at him though more and more. It's interesting though, because when she walks in, she knows lots and lots and lots of books. So to me, it seemed like he was researching his bond and what it means, or how he can free Saeris from it, which is sad as fuck, because she doesn't know yet about this bond, and he's trying to get her out of it. And we find that out later. He doesn't want to live anymore, and he won't tie her down to him, which is why he's being mean. He's kind of creating this barrier because he just doesn't want to live anymore.
Which is so sad.
It's so sad. Like, that's what I mean. Like, his depression is real. Like, it's real. Sarah starts to feel the pull of the bond. Quote, a rush of something hot and not entirely unpleasant burned right behind my breastbone. It wasn't just how he looked. There was something else there too. Something that made my body come alive. His scent and the way I knew he'd enter a room before I saw him, and the melancholy tug at the root of my soul whenever he wasn't in the room. End quote. So it goes to show that the bond keeps getting stronger the more time they spend together. Fisher loses control of his shadows when Saeris admits he wants to help. Quote, black shadows spilled from Fisher's fingers. Smoke roiled up the table legs and swept across the tabletop like morning mist rolling across a field. It swallowed our food, the wicker basket, everything. With a crash, the table flipped, toppling to the floor. And then Fisher was on his feet, lifting me out of my chair, lifting me from the ground, crossing the tent. My back slammed against something solid and hard. A bookcase? But it wasn't shock of the pain that ripped the air from my lungs. It was Fisher's mouth. End quote. Hot, hot, hot. I love me a really good make-out sesh like this one.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to say I feel bad for Saeris, but also for Fisher. Fisher has been trying to keep his distance or maybe protect himself from the bond, but it's way stronger than he knows. He loses that control kissing her, and when Saeris expresses that she wants him, he pulls away. Like I said earlier, he's trying to find a way out of the bond because the Quicksilver is just taking too much from him. Remember all those pendantless trips? It's just gotten much worse.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's sweet he tries to protect her feelings when she feels embarrassed, like she fucked up, because he kisses her softly and gets her to stop talking. He puts her hand on his heart so she can feel it racing. And it's too much for him as he tells her, quote, I can't trust anything, end quote, and he leaves. To me, it's obvious how much worse the control of the Quicksilver has over him. It's almost like he is trying to take over him and he's losing control of his own body. Later on in the book, he tells her exactly this. Saeris makes a run for it because she's reeling, but she runs into Ren, who can smell her. This poor guy, he just be smelling way too much.
We should count how many times Ren smells her
He smells her so much.
Yeah.
He smells her so much.
Must be
poor
like
guy.
the 5th time that he does this.
Yeah, seriously. I think he knows that they're mates or thinks that they're mates.
I think he's suspect.
Oh, I think
And
so.
then-
and I think he was just like, go, be together now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And then-
now kiss.
Amen.
Yeah, now kiss.
When she goes to sit down next to Carry-On, quote, the suggestive way he grinned at me made me think he could smell what I'd been up to as well. But that wasn't possible. Our human noses weren't that sensitive. End quote. Blind Mice Podcast, y'all. Yeah. Mofo was smelling what she was giving. And this didn't even catch my attention the first time. He was smelling her. He knew what she was up to.
He knew. And he was probably being Cupid number 2 with Ren. Him and Ren probably Cupid together. Like, hey, buddy, let's go do this.
Sarah sits with Carry-On and the two pass a quiche back and forth as they watch the Lupo Proelia go at it. It's mostly Danya, though, who's a bitch. Truly, what is up with her? And why will she let it go? Is she in love with Fisher?
She better not be, because King Fisher is only for Sarah. So
Yeah, like I felt like she sounded or looked like a scorned.
Yeah, like a woman scorned.
A woman scorned, right?
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
just like, where were you for 130
Yeah.
years?
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, chill, Danya.
Fisher arrives and he literally jumped into a cold pool, probably to get Sarah's scent off and cool his hot ass.
Yes.
That
He
is
was
a
like
good
dripping
point.
wet. He's dripping wet. He shows up like soaking wet. He's probably like,
And no one is questioning it. Like,
No, Danya's like, would you go for a swim or something?
yeah.
But back to Danya. For real though, what the fuck is her deal? She says she feels abandoned, but she takes it to the head. What's with that? Even when Fisher gives her whatever explanation he can say, quote, I can't tell you, end quote, alluding to being forced to keep a secret, an oath of sorts between him and the evil mofo Malcolm. She goes for his throat, and our dear poor Fisher makes peace with dying because, again, guys, the fucking depression is real for him. Sarah says, quote, I had no intention of standing. My hand raised of its own accord. The shout of panic tore out of my mouth without any doing on my part, end quote. Could this be the Quicksilver taking over her for a quick moment? And how does she have the power to throw Danya with a fucking hand? Like the sword shattered, yes, makes sense because there's Quicksilver in the sword. But throwing Danya, I don't know. I feel like it adds to Carol's theory that she is Fae because maybe she has some Fae power that's able to.
She is the Faeest of Fae.
She is. And I was thinking in that moment, I thought it was because maybe Danya was wearing some kind of silver-plated armor or something, and that's what gave her
that's a good point.
Control. That's what I was thinking. I don't know.
That's a good point.
I don't know.
That's a good point. And the thing is too, like, I feel like even though the gods changed what Saeris was supposed to be, I feel like no matter what, fate is always going to prevail.
Yeah.
So I feel like deep down she's supposed to be Fae.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about really quick with you guys that the fact that like Sarah says that her hand raised of her own accord and she kind of didn't have control of her body for a second. Mm-hmm. So do you guys still agree that the Quicksilver is kind of taking over people?
I would just wonder how they would take over her without actually like,
because it's not inside her.
Yeah.
Unless
like I don't see
she's
how
an alchemist, you know. It talks to her.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Unless, but then she would mention that she would hear something in her head saying like, "Do that." Unless, like you said, like it's control.
Because remember when she says, I think when she was by the Quicksilver pool, she says, "I could feel it trying to warm itself into like."
Oh yeah,
into my brain, my head, like as if it's trying to take control over her. I don't know.
But what Quicksilver would be like where is this Quicksilver? King Fisher's Quicksilver doing this to her? Like where
could be the Quicksilver and the swords?
Where's this Quicksilver?
I don't know.
It could be. I thought maybe it's like the bond that is making her like, you know, like reactive, you know, instinctively to like protect him, you know, and that's why she reacted that way, like so instantaneous that it surprised her.
Could be,
but I don't know. It's like
that's a good point, though. Stuff I didn't even realize that she
because there's Quicksilver in that room.
It was like involuntary. That was a good catch.
So in the end of all of this, kind of doesn't go anywhere after this because vampires arrive and the war camp goes crazy to go break the ice.
Berserky jerky.
So chapter 21, Icebreaker. Carrion rushed to the riverbank. Saeris notes that the warriors are twice the height of Fisher and twice as wide. So are we talking giants, guys? Are we talking giants? Because like, think about this. Like Fisher is like a 6-foot man, 6.5 man. These twice the height is like a 13-foot Fae.
That is one scary.
I feel like that's giants.
Height. Yeah,
so it's
definitely.
very interesting. I just need more info. And on the other side of the riverbank, 50,000 feeders. First of all, that number is like blows my mind. Like I can't even fathom that number. But what was Malcolm wanting from the show? I know he goes to taunt Fisher, but do you think that they have more than 50,000 feeders? When Fisher shows off his power, Malcolm shows. But what exactly does he want from him? It almost seems, like I said earlier, that he is in love with Fisher. But why? And why is Fisher nowhere to be found? Is there more to him and Malcolm we don't know about? It's as if he doesn't want him to know where he is or see him. He's kind of hiding from Malcolm, but his power still goes out, but Malcolm doesn't see him. And neither does Saeris see where he is because she looks for him and she can't find him or Ren. And now you have me thinking, about Ren. Like, where did he go? Why is he not showing? See, you did this. Carolina, you did this to me with freaking Rida.
You planted the seed.
And my life has never been the same. So thank you. Thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Another thing is that the warriors of the camp had no idea where he had gone the last 100 years. So I wonder where they thought he had been. Because when Malcolm taunts Fisher by saying he misses him, everyone seemed surprised and like taken aback. So
yeah,
where did he think he was? Do they think he just went on a journey? He was a prisoner? I thought the consensus was that everybody knew he was like with Malcolm.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I thought that everyone knew what was going on, like what happened to him, but I guess he doesn't want anyone to find out. Maybe he's like embarrassed or he's.
But remember, he can't talk about certain things.
Oh, right.
Like, remember, he's like oath bound, like he can't speak.
Yeah.
But not only that, I think he was with Malcolm and that's a good point. Like, why didn't anyone know where he was, or like, where did
question
they
or well,
that's
they probably
question the 50,000 feeders. It's like literally deja vu back to his POV years ago at the Adjun Gate. I forgot the number, but it's some crazy number of feeders that came and attacked them. Could Malcolm have brought these 50,000 feeders to kind of like, well, obviously he wanted to like do some damage, but maybe he's just like testing him out too.
Yeah.
Malcolm doesn't show until he sees Fisher's shadows sweep through, right? So it's almost like he needs like to know Fisher. Like there's something specific that he wants from Fisher.
He seems like obsessed.
Yeah.
But I feel like he wants something from him. Like it can't just be like, it just can't be like he's like in love with him. There has to be something else.
Probably wants his powers. Who knows? Like,
and even Balakon, right? Even Balakon like seems weirdly obsessed with Kingfisher, but the way he manifests it is by like literally
hating his guts,
you know?
Yeah.
Or like, you know, why did Balakon specifically go for Fisher's family? I know it was like he had a lot of money, like the family had a lot of money, but it's just very specific as to why he would go and want to procreate with Fisher's mom. You know, powerful oracle that like he thought he was going to have like another really strong, you know, baby or whatever, or child.
Yeah.
Like, why this specific family? Why did he force Fisher's mom to marry him? Why did he exile basically Fisher's dad, send him on this journey? Quicksilver gets frozen, he's gone, and then he forces Fisher's mom to marry him, like part of a plan, you know? So like something with these vampires, something
like you said, you made a good point. Like maybe he wanted to procreate with his mom to have this potential powerful child, like Kingfisher. I don't know.
Chapter 22. This is called The Itch. So as he felt the need to distract himself by getting lost in her again, I felt kind of bad for Fisher in this moment, rereading this, because now I can see why he wanted to lose himself in his desire and need for Saeris to escape the traumatic feelings seeing Malcolm brought up at the riverbank. And I love this jealous scene. It is just perfection. As soon as they got back into the tent, Saeris felt the energy was very charged and, you know, went from like, I guess like dramatic to like intense, you know, I don't know how to say. But after removing her cloak, Fisher says to her, quote, "Don't share food with that prick again, little Osha," end quote. And when she asked why not, he said, quote, "Because I fucking said so," end quote. I was like, oh my God, that's hot. And it's funny how a line like that would like really piss any of us off, like in real life. It's like, oh really?
It's like, how dare you?
Yes, exactly. How dare you tell me what I can share my food with?
But also like the whole time he's getting his ass chewed out by Danya in the war camp, he's just staring at Sarah sharing this damn fucking quiche with Carry On. And he's like, doesn't give a fuck about what Danya's saying. He's just like, why is this bitch sharing fucking quiche? Why is she sharing her egg? Why are they sharing eggs? Why?
Exactly.
It's like she's supposed to be sharing eggs with me. Like,
Uh-huh.
that's what
Like
he's
meanwhile, like Danya's like yelling at him, about to like kill him, and he's just like, she's sharing eggs.
Yeah. And it wasn't even, I thought at first like, oh, it's because maybe it's like a Fae custom, but it's not. It's not. He's just doesn't want her sharing
He's like,
food
you could
anymore.
share food with like
Like you
Ren,
cannot swap
Laura,
saliva
but
with
not with
anybody.
Carry On.
Yeah.
It's like poor Carry On. Like she can't do anything with Carry On, basically. Don't even breathe around him.
Yeah, seriously.
She then asks, quote, what do you have against Carry On? End quote. He just growls at her, saying, quote, I don't want to talk about Carry On. End quote. Oh my God. I love this because like he's just like, I can just see him behind her and like saying that, like, I don't want to talk about Carry On. Like, like just wants to ravage on her. And she annoys me here because she's trying to collect answers for what just transpired but when he's trying to seduce her. So as she's trying to extract answers about who Malcolm was, Fisher explains that Malcolm is the very first high Fae vampire. When the Fae were cursed thousands of years ago, they were very much like Malcolm, and when a cure was found, Fisher's great-grandfather took it along with most of the Yevelian Fae, but not Malcolm. And we learn here that Malcolm is the strongest of the vampires, which makes him their king. He's also the only one capable of turning a fae into a vampire who remains themselves. But when his princes bite to turn someone, they die and become mindless feeders that obey their masters. And then we also learn that fae are not immortal like the vampires. They just have really long lifespans and they can still age. So she starts to understand that there is a link between Malcolm and Fisher that she does not quite understand, but can see that it's the cause for his discomfort because when she asks if he was with Malcolm during all those years, he says he can't tell her that, making her think that he was bound, but he just snaps at her to stop, which solidifies, I guess, her theory. But since the beginning of their story together, we see Saeris denying her growing feelings and desire for Fisher. But I think after she starts to see that there is truly more to him than the facade he performs to keep others from seeing the pain that he has experienced, those defenses she has up for herself begin to fall, and she starts to admit to herself that there is something between them and even starts to admit it to him. And she tries to break down his defenses by seducing him, and he just responds with crass humor. For example, she says, quote, there is something between us. There is, end quote. And he responds, quote, sure you're not imagining things. Plenty of women fall prey to their own desperate fantasies where I'm concerned, end quote. And when she tells him to stop being an ass because the moment they have sex, things will change between them, he replies back saying that things will change because he scratched an itch and he'll be able to move on. That's fucked
That is
up.
so mean.
But also, I love that she goes after what she wants. She's honest with her feelings. She's just like, hey, when she figures him out, she's just like, obviously there's something between us.
Yeah.
And we're going to fuck.
Yes,
So
exactly.
why are we lying to ourselves?
Like,
Let's fuck.
we're doing this.
She's a straight
Like,
shooter.
She's
Yeah.
a straight shooter. I like that.
She was denying in the
Love that.
beginning, but as soon as she saw that, oh, he's not actually a bad person. He's just depressed or going through something really difficult that's making him like this. And that's when things change for her. So a line that perfectly depicts this tension that they have building up is, quote, the cards have been on the table for a while now. We were either going to kill each other or fuck each other, and I was glad we were going for the latter option, end quote. That sounds like marriage right there. I'm not married, but I've heard it's
put a ring on it.
I heard it's that ordeal. And he has her naked and afraid, but not for her life. Instead, but maybe of where this whole thing will lead.
Bella, you're the queen of puns. You're the queen of puns, and I love it.
The room suddenly goes all dark, and she feels like wisps of iridescent smoke go up on her arms, circling her wrists. She knew it was an extension of him. She noticed a couple of his tattoos were starting to go on her, and even though she tried to pull her hand away, Fisher kept her hand on his chest. He was like, "No, baby girl. You're going to feel this. You're going to feel these pecs." So, best way to get a tattoo, in my opinion. I mean, pain is pleasure for some people, but I'll take this version any day. No needles.
I wanted to talk about a few points that I highlighted when I was reading this chapter, because that's going back to Carol's theory that Saeris is Fae. She says, quote, "My ears were ringing. My whole body was reacting so strangely. The roof of my mouth tingled like crazy. I couldn't feel my feet." So I don't know. Like, I just feel like the roof of her mouth, like, tingling, like, gave some kind of like weird
like
thing.
It's like the fate literally is coming to the surface. Like,
yeah. And then when they finally, like, he puts it in, basically, she says, quote, "I was a ball of sensation, humming with energy. In the darkness, Fisher slowly lowered his head. His lips parted, his hair mussed, and a dazed look of surprise on his face sent a rush of adrenaline powering through me." And then he says, quote, "Which," he accused, "you do have magic."
Yes, Steph. Oh my God. That was such a good.
I feel like he could feel the magic in her.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes on. She says, quote, "Right as I crested the wave of my second orgasm, the stars painted across Fisher's bedroom ceiling ignited, flaring so brightly that their light burned my eyes even through my eyelids." End quote. To me, it just seems like this is a part where, like, her magic kind of manifests, and, like, where Fisher's shadows, she is the light in his shadows, because energy explodes.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just feel like it's showing her magic in a way.
I love how, I
love that you brought that up.
I'm just going to say that was a really great scene. Really great scene.
That whole scene was great. Thank you so much for being here tonight. It truly means the world to us that you're here. And please message us. Let us know what you think and what you would like for us to include in our next episodes. We truly appreciate your feedback.
Thank you guys for joining, and we're so glad that you're here. For any newcomers, welcome. And we hope you enjoyed today's episode. And until next time.
Again, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And if you have any thoughts you want to share with us, please DM us anytime. We love talking to you all. We're just your local trio of besties, enjoying each other's company and talking about what they love the most. King Fisher's monstrous, you know what? But also, like, Zayden Ryerson, because I miss you, boo.
You have to mention him once.
At least once. This podcast is so much fun to make when you have Carolina and Bella doing it with you.
And you.
Remember to follow us on at Enchanted Circle Pod on Insta and TikTok, and follow/subscribe to our podcast channel on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or YouTube. Until next time, y'all, on the Enchanted Circle Pod.